No-show patients. No-show patients. What do you do when the patients don't show up? I had this happen twice today. 2 patients in a row. And while the break was nice, it was also annoying. Annoying from a financial perspective, annoying from the blocks that those patients took up from other patients who could have been seen. It was frustrating. And I wondered what went through their minds to justify their behavior, where they book up a place in my books and then don't show up. Clearly, they were not worried about their health too much. Otherwise, they would have made the effort to come. But perhaps something got better and they just couldn't be bothered actually showing up and making a phone call to say, hey, I'm better. I don't need the appointment. Has this happened to you? Do you take the break and go, whew, thank goodness I got a little break? Or are you annoyed? It is disrespectful not to make any effort to correct a problem. And perhaps there was an emergency. Perhaps there was something that was dominating their reality so much that they could not make a phone call. They could not do anything, but they just did not show up. So what's your practice do? I think ours sends them a bill anyway. Like, hey, you booked up the time, you didn't show up, you get the bill. Now, obviously, that's only the private billing, but it sets a precedent. It's like, hey, if you don't respect the relationship that we have between the practice and the doctors and you, then perhaps you should find another practice. And they could well have justified it in their minds for any number of reasons. I have had patients who think that I'm on a salary. Hey, I see 1 patient, I get paid. I see 10 patients, I get paid. I see 50 patients, I get paid. But that's not how most GPs are set up, at least as far as I'm aware. Locuming? Oh, for sure. Locuming, yes. Get paid $180 an hour, whether I see 1 patient or 50. But for most of us, it's a percentage cut. 35% goes to practice, 65 comes to me, or whatever your particular split is, 60-40, 70-30. But no patients seen, no money. And so I was thinking about this, like, you know what? Maybe there is a way to attract people who will come. Come for their health. Come because of the service that they get. And I've heard of this. Much more common in America, of course. In America, they're willing to pay for things that are of value. In Australia, it's like, no. If it's not free, I'm not interested. Like, dude, it's going to cost you a fortune in the future. Not in money, though. Not in money. If only you could buy back your health with money from decisions made today that end up being poor in the future and that you could buy back your health. But often this is not the case. Many things in life regarding health are unfortunately improvable, but not retrievable. Some things are so bad they just kill the patient. They die. But many things, hey, we got pretty good at keeping people alive. After significant medical illnesses that would have killed them before. But now they stay alive and they enter into the chronic medical disease experience. But what they soon discover is that getting back to where they were, not so easy. Saw a patient today. It's interesting. He was 97 kilos. He's like 6'2", 97 kilos. And we look back through the history, and back in 2015, he was 79 kilos. 79 kilos, now 97 kilos. And I was like, you know, you need to change right now. You don't have the luxury of reducing from 8 cigarettes to 5 cigarettes. You need to stop smoking entirely. You need to stop drinking a bottle of red wine every night. But I'm like, no, you can either change your behavior now or you can change it in the future, except you will have the diabetes, the heart attack, the stroke, and you won't be able to recover this. And at the beginning, he was like, I don't like you as a doctor. And at the end, he was like, okay, I'm getting the picture. 36% came up on the CVD check. I'm like, mate, you don't change right now. You are at high risk. 1 in 3 stroke or heart attack. But for the layperson, perhaps they don't fear these diseases. Modern medicine will save me. But they don't appreciate the journey that comes after they leave the hospital and life gets so much harder. And guess what has to happen at that point? They have to give up the smokes and the drinks then anyway. I'm like, mate, you do it now, guess what? You got a chance. You do it after the stroke, your life changes dramatically. And these are the conversations that are worth far more than $45, $100. I mean, his life, in terms of not having to go through the suffering of a stroke, a suffering of a heart attack, yes, you'll make it through, most likely, but the long-term consequences, very difficult. All right, what do we got here? Winston, let's have a look, mate. What do you got? Bring you on. You got something in this conversation? I'm curious. I've never done this before. This is exciting. Oh, dude, you declined it. Ah. All right, we could have had a conversation. But this is a reframing of health in our patient's mind. And I've had this before. I had a patient come in for a very simple experience. We were done and dusted in 2 minutes, and I went home and I was like, you know what? That wasn't the best consult of all time. Yes, their problem got sorted, but not having anything else to discuss was neglectful. There almost certainly was some other issues going on. If I probed a little deeper, hey, what's going on in your relationship? What's going on at work? How are you going? With a multitude of possible conversations that we could have had, which would have potentially had a significant and powerful outcome for his health. And he could have walked away going, okay, yep, great, I got my concern dealt with for the money, and that's what he got. Or he could have walked away and said, I got my concerns dealt with, and I'm now aware of a higher level of health that is possible for me. This is interesting. These conversations are powerful. These conversations increase the value of what we are providing. Unfortunately, general practice has been lumped into some kind of free service for so long that we have forgotten the value that we provide. Charging, it's a really good idea. Why? Because it allows the patient to experience value. They are not paying us as doctors. It is a transaction. They are exchanging cash for value. I am providing experience, knowledge. I'm providing counseling, perspective. I'm providing a future that they can choose between. Going back to my gentleman at 97 kilos, I'm like, hey, you have a choice here. And if you continue behaving as you have, you will suffer serious consequences. Maybe not. Maybe not. I can't guarantee it. My crystal ball, not so good. But CVD, check, showing a 36%. My brother, your life could get a whole lot harder. And it's a curious conversation because he may not have appreciated what went on there. It's like, oh, just pay the $45. And we may see as the game evolves over the coming years that there is a segmentation of the care provided, and that some people are willing to pay a whole lot more money to general practitioners because of the value that they provide for that person in their health. And some people will see no value in a health conversation and they will not pay. They literally will not see any value in that conversation. Why would they pay? The same conversation could be immensely valuable to somebody else. Finding that person, allowing them into the conversation, say, hey, is this a valuable conversation? And they're like, yes, it is. Here's the price for me to be your personal doctor. And they're like, yes, I see that as a value exchange that is valuable to me. So we're going to see how this plays out. There is one thing that is for certain, that is health demand is not going down. Baby boomers just entering into the geriatric realm. My father, born in 1946, now lies in a nursing home and has not moved from his bed for 18 months. Broke his hip 18 months ago, severe dementia, mini mental at 0. Lies there, terrible quality of life. But he is the first of the baby boomers and is 78 years old. And then behind him is a huge cohort of people who are getting older. And so we are in no shortage of work to do. And as that shortage gets exposed, we will be applying the laws of economics, supply and demand. No supply, high demand, guess what happens? Prices go up, particularly if the conversations are around value and the value of avoiding health problems in the future. I would like to be able to continue surfing when I'm 60, when I'm 70, when I'm 80. Well, guess what? I better start investing into my flexibility, my balance, my mobility, my skill sets on the waves. Otherwise, guess what? At some point, that gets taken away. And I like surfing. I love surfing. It's the most incredible experience. I only just got it. I've been trying for 15 years. And I've been investing into my surf coach to get better. Little tweaks. And it can easily be overlooked in a consultation that a small tweak made by a competent, skilled doctor could have a massive outcome 5 years down the track, 10 years down the track, 20 years down the track. So have a think in your mind, what value are you providing? And recognize that you are not getting paid, but rather there is an equal transaction going on. You are providing service, they are providing cash, and the exchange is occurring. You value your skill sets less than the money, which sounds so strange. You're providing, you give them the skill sets and say, hey, here's my medical experience, and they value the cash less than your medical experience. And that's why the exchange happens. We're both exchanging things of lesser value for higher value. To me, as the doctor, the cash has more value than my medical knowledge. I already know my medical knowledge. And for them, the cash has less value than the medical knowledge that I'm imparting to them. This is an important concept to understand. Even with Dr. Google, even with ChatGPT, even with AI, the doctor still has considerable value that for a patient, the cash is worth less than that knowledge, experience, trust, reassurance. So that's what's really going on in any transaction. All right, that's all I got for you. I'm going to go have some dinner with my kids, with my family, with my wife. Go hang out Friday nights. I hope you got some value from your investment of time into this life. If you want some more, head over to GraduateMedicine.com. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you on another episode very soon.